Welcome to Graphic Policy Television, GPTV. I'm Brett. We're back. We're going to do an unboxing of their first item from the WizKids DC Dice Masters War of Light set. I think the first item we're going to open up is this two-player starter set. Now, there's a lot of options for you to build out your collection, and I think the best place to start is with kind of what the basic thing you need to even start playing the game. So the starter set, for those who don't know, is a great way to start playing the game. It contains 44 custom dice, 12 basic action dice, 16 character dice, 16 sidekick dice, 38 cards, 24 character cards, 10 basic action cards, 4 color reminders, and 2 dice bags. For those who have never played the game, I'm sure that is all Greek. And you're going to say, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. So we're going to crack this open and actually show you and talk about it. So the War of Light was a storyline in DC Comics. It heavily featured the various Lantern Corps. There's more than the Green Lantern Corps. There's yellow and red and indigo and I said red. There's blue, and there's even black lanterns out there as well. And there was actually a white lantern. So it had all these corps kind of busting out and battling each other. It's a great storyline. I love it. So when they announced they were doing this set, I got super excited because I dug it that much. So for those who've never played the game, you get a nice handy rule book right here. I've mentioned in another video, they do give you this handy little small playmat for you to play with. You know, not big, but it is usable. You can use it to play the game. You actually don't need much more than that, but I think it's pretty useful. It does give you instructions as to what to do. So there's that. It basically goes you through everything using the sets. It talks about how to play, what everything means, and goes from there. So I'll admit I've seen some of the War of Light set already, so I generally kind of know what we should be expecting going into this set. As I said, it's very heavy when it comes to the various Lantern Corps out there. So if you're not into the Green Lanterns, you're probably not going to dig it. Like every set, starter set, you start off with your dice that you need to play the game. These are the basic action die. Sorry. These are your 16 sidekick dice. Basically the way a game goes is you'll take 4 dice to start with. So each player will have 8 dice, 8 of these total. You roll the dice, and then depending on what you get on the side is what you can do. There's various things on the side that represent energy. You use that energy to buy the characters. Hence why I've described the game in the past as a deck building game. So you're using energy to buy more dice. There's also the sidekick, which is why they're called sidekick dice. And the sidekicks are like characters like Batman and stuff like that, and various other characters, but these are kind of like the weakest. I usually refer to them as pawns in the game. They just have 1 strength and 1 defense, so really, really weak. So basically you roll the dice and you buy other dice with that. So these are kind of the basic ones. There's 16 of them, enough for 2 players. Then you have action dice. So basic action dice, there's 12 of them. You can kind of see there's sets of 3 different colors, or 3 of each color. We've got a blackish, bluish thing going on. We've got green, a pink, and a yellow. You use these to represent action cards, and we're going to kind of show off the action cards when we get to them in here. It actually calls it indigo. It's not blue or black or whatever. Intelligently, they use the lantern terms. So use these dice to represent certain cards in the game. That leaves us with these dice. These dice represent the characters. So we've got, like, these 2 would be 1 character. I know this character, this one's the Anti-Monitor. For these dice, we've got Guy Gardner, Kyle Rayner, Jon Stewart, not the late night host, This was, going off the top of my head, I don't remember who this one is. It'll come. I think Lex Luthor. And then we've got Hal Jordan and Batman as a Lantern. So what the hell does all this mean? Well, that comes down to these cards. So first, those action dice, we've got cards to represent them. So you basically use these to know what die belongs to what action card. I'll explain that in a minute. We've got a nice checklist of all the cards in the set. And let's start with the action cards themselves, since we've kind of talked to them. So there's basic action cards. So basic action cards, we've got here. The basic action cards, you use 2 of them. Each player will have 2 of them, and they're cards that you can buy, and you basically take one of these dice. So instead of buying a character, you buy the action cards, and you put them in there. The way you track them would be is, let's say I wanted to use the indigo dice, I'd put this indigo card under this one, so I know the indigo dice go to this basic action card. So let's actually go over those and discuss them. They're all, of course, very relatable to the Green Lantern mythos. We have Big Entrance. It's a card that costs 3. Big Entrance is, when purchased, you may add this die to your dice bag. When used, dice purchased this turn cost 1 less than their printed cost to a minimum of 1, and may be put directly into your dice bag instead of your used pile, no matter how many Big Entrance dice are used. So basically, you'd like roll the dice, and if the proper thing comes up, so that was an energy, but if it came up with this thing that has like a exclamation point and kind of like a POW symbol, wherever you want to call it, you'd be able to use this card. So if this card's on the field, you'd be able to buy characters cheaper. Yeah, so, well, any dice, not just characters. Next, we've got Enormous Destruction. This was a pretty big deal in the Lantern mythos. Their planet, that was Green Lantern itself, got killed. It was sad. So this one is choose a purchase cost, reroll all fielded character dice with that purchase cost, move all rolled energy faces to their owner's prep area. So great way, cost 4, it's a great way to sweep the board, which is pretty key in this set. The set's got some nasty cards that do a lot of damage out there. So next we have Heroic Defense. It's a basic action card. Heroic Defense is your character gets +1 attack and +1 defense for each of your character dice KO'd this turn. Gain life equal to that die's level. So next we have Lethal Force. Lethal Force is deal 1 damage to target character die for each of your active characters. There's stars and double stars. If you roll those, you can also deal 1 damage to target opponent. You can actually pay 2 energy, I guess lightning bolt energy. I don't know if there's proper terms of it. Lightning bolt energy is what I usually call it. Deal target character 1 damage. So pretty good card. I like doing damage to my opponent like that because I'm a jackass and I like doing that sort of thing. Next we have Monument to Evil. It's a basic action card. It's pretty cool. It's got Sinestro as a statue. Its cost is 4. You deal 2 damage to your opponent. If you get the double stars, instead you deal 1 damage to your target opponents for each of your characters, your active V characters, villain characters, I guess. Global pay one of these ones that look like a mask energy plus a fist energy. Who's got a fist? Someone's got to have a fist. Does no one have a fist? Oh, there we go. And a fist energy. And target character gains the villain affiliation until end of turn. That one. We have Relaxing. It's a basic action card. It costs 4. Draw a die from your bag, name a die, draw a second die. If the second die was the die you named, keep it and draw a third die. Otherwise, move the second die to your used pile. Next we have Stealth Ops. It costs 3. Target character die is considered to be level 1 and is unblockable this turn. That's kind of cool. You can play 2 mask powers and you spin target character die down 1 level. Alrighty. Vicious Struggle costs 3. Until your next turn, deal your opponent 1 damage for each damage you take that doesn't come from Vicious Struggle. An interesting card. There's a lot of cards in the set that do massive damage to you as a player, so that one could be really, really handy if you know people are playing War of Light. Next we've got Fighting. It's a basic action card that costs 2, so really cheap, since you've seen most cost 3 and 4. For each of your character dice KO'd during the attack step this turn, your opponent must KO one of their character dice. Again, there's some really nasty cards out there, so to basically force your opponents to get rid of some of their dice is pretty key with this set. And then finally, the final basic is You've Been Chosen. Its cost is 4, and you play only during your main step. Choose an energy type. All characters of that type must attack during their next attack step and deal no combat damage. If these characters are unblocked, return them to the field zone instead of the used pile. So again, another way to clear the board so you don't have to deal with characters. All those are pretty handy. Knowing the set as is, they're going to be very, very handy in the game. Because a lot of the set does deal damage to you based off of characters that come out and combinations, and it's some nasty stuff. So up next, we're going to actually talk about the characters themselves and their abilities. Basically, it's various versions of characters as lanterns of various types. So we have some yellow lanterns. We've got actually we have quite a few yellow lanterns. We've got red lanterns, green lanterns, we have indigo and blue and orange. So let's kind of go through each. So first up is the Anti-Monitor, who was part of Sinestro's core. These are his dice. They're yellow with blue. Really, really tough character. There's 3 versions of him. Expensive to use him. His power as on the dice, if you roll the character, is the first lowest level is 1, 5 and 5. The next level is 2, 6 and 6. And the third level is 2, 7 and 7. So for paying 2, you'll get a 7 and 7 character. To field this one, it costs 6. And his ability is when Anti-Monitor attacks, KO all sidekicks, including yours. So interesting. Another one that costs 6. This is Symbol of Fear. When Anti-Monitor attacks, all opposing Green Lanterns, and I'm going to go with Blue Lanterns. Character dice must block him if able. That one's Symbol of Fear. And finally, we have Universal Destruction. That one costs 7, which is pretty expensive in this game. When Anti-Monitor is fielded, you may KO a Green Lantern or blue character die. If you do, move a villain die from your used pile to your prep area. So that's a pretty powerful character, and we can see why he costs so much. Alright, next up, we have Batman as a Yellow Lantern. Yes, folks, it happened for a bit. Batman was a Yellow Lantern. His dice are yellow with the bat symbol on them. Really cool dice. I dig it. I really, really dig it. So first we've got Bruce Wayne of Earth. The Batman powers, his lowest level is 1, 3 for attack, 4 for defense. His second level cost is 2, and then he's got 5 to attack, 5 to defense. The third level is 3 to field him, and he's 6 and 6. If you use a basic action die this turn, Batman cannot be blocked. Global is you pay 1 energy. The first time you play a basic action this turn, draw 1 die and add it to your prep area. Pretty cool card. I can see a lot of use on that one. He cost 4. Next is Batman, also costing 4, is Cowardly and Superstitious Lot. While Batman is active, he deals 1 damage to your opponent when any player uses a basic action die. Global is you pay 1 energy. The first time you play a basic action this turn, draw 1 die and add it to your prep area. Again, you can see that a lot of cards causing damage. Finally is Instill Great Fear. When Batman attacks, you may move a basic action die from your used pile to your prep area. He also has the use 1 energy the first time you play a basic action this turn and draw 1 die and add it to your prep area. Pretty cool. We're moving on from the Yellow Lanterns, though we're going to come back to them eventually. Next is Guy Gardner as a Red Lantern. He asked for a point. Guy Gardner was a red lantern, and he also had a little bit of green in him. He's got red dye with his face on him. His dye abilities, his lowest level costs nothing, and he's got 2 attack and 2 defense. Second level also costs nothing, 3 attack and 2 defense. His third and last level is 1 cost, and he's 4 and 4. So first card is Blinding Rage. Guy Gardner must attack each turn if able, and gets +1 attack for each other attacking die. So that's Blinding Rage. Next up, we have Seething Red. There's no ability on this. He just costs 2, so nice cheap character to field. And then we've got Guy Gardner, Warrior Spirit. When Guy Gardner is blocked, draw 1 die and place it in your prep area. That costs 3. Really basic, simple character. Cheap one. You every so often need some cheap characters to field in the game. Next up, we've got Hal Jordan. Hals are pretty predictable. We've got 2 dice with the Green Lantern symbols that you can see through. They're translucent. His powers for cost of 1 at the lowest level. His attack is 4, defense is 2. The second level is attack 5, defense of 3, also costing 1. And the third and final is cost of 1. His attack is 6, and his defense is 5. So first up, we've got Green Lantern, which costs 5. At the beginning of your turn, choose a lantern color. Hal Jordan gains that color until the beginning of your next turn. You pay a lightning bolt energy. Once per turn, you may spin a villain up or down 1 level. So that's actually can be really, really handy. Next, we've got Test Pilot. Test Pilot is Hal Jordan gets +1 attack for each other Green Lantern and Blue Lantern character in the field zone, yours or your opponent's. That could be really, really cool. +1 attack for that. Juice him up pretty good. And then finally, we've got Highball. Highball costs 6. And while Hal Jordan is active, if you have 3 or more Lightning Bolt in your reserve pool at the end of your roll and reroll step, deal 1 damage to target villain die for each Lightning Bolt you rolled. Great way to take out opponents. We're fielding lots of villains. Up next, we're going to go with John Stewart. No, not the host. His die are black, with kind of him as a symbol. Black and pink. Kind of a cool design. His dice are for 1 cost, you have 3 and 2. And the second level is for 1 cost, it's 4 and 3. And the third and final is for 2 costs, it's 4 and 5. So first up is Architect. While John Stewart is active, whenever your opponent fields a villain character die, gain 1 life for each villain die they have fielded. That's pretty key. Next we've got Indigo Tribe. John Stewart adds +1 attack and +1 defense for each of your opponent's fielded villain character dice. And then finally we have Compassionate. When fielded, draw 2 dice, place any lantern dice into your prep area and all other dice into your used pile. So, kind of a cool character, interesting. A lot to do with villains. For those who know the character of the story with Indigos, that makes complete sense. Once again, I think it's a good example of WizKids doing a great job taking the flavor and fluff of the comic and translating it well into the game. Next up, we've got Kyle Rayner as a Blue Lantern. Remember, all will be yet well. So we've got blue dye with Kyle Lantern's kind of iconic mask. Pretty cheap character to field. The dice for the lowest level costs nothing. He's got 2 and 2. Second level is cost 1, and it is 3 and 4. And the final is cost of 2 and 4 and 4. Kyle Rayner gets +2 attack and +2 defense. If there is an active Green Lantern, if there are 3 or more active Green Lantern, he gets +5 attack and +5 defense. Instead, count yours and your opponent's. That's for Artist. It's pretty cool if you're doing a Blue and Green Lantern team, which is probably what I would do. And for those who know the fluff, that fits quite well. Next up, we have Dreamer. Dreamer is, when fielded, choose a lantern color. Characters who have that affiliation cannot block this turn. Cost is 3. And finally, Look to the Stars. When fielded, deal damage to target character equal to this character's level. Deal an extra damage if a green lantern is active, yours or your opponent's. So, pretty cool. And then we've got 2 villains to round things up. We've got Lex Luthor as an orange lantern. His dice, that was it, are orange, and they kind of have like a fist on them. Sort of fits the character design. So we'll go with this cheapest one. It's Xenophobe, which fits so well. It costs us 2, and there's nothing to it. I didn't go over it. The power levels for each of Lex Luthor at his lowest level costs nothing, and it's 2 and 2. The next level costs 1, and he's 3 and 3. And the final level costs 2, and he's 3 and 4. The next card is Greed. That costs 3. While Lex Luthor is active, if you have more life than your opponent at the beginning of your turn, you may draw an additional die. Then finally, we have Legitimate Businessmen. We know Lex Luthor is not. When fielded, gain 2 life if you have the highest purchase cost die fielded. This feels like if Donald Trump was playing this game. Finally, we've got Sinestro. His die, of course, have the Sinestro core. The coloring of the die kind of fits his skin, and they're yellow. So, very cool stuff and translucent. So we've got 3 cards. The cheapest of them costs 4, and it's called Core Namesake. Sinestro cannot be blocked unless the defending player pays 1 energy per blocking character die. His die levels are, the lowest costs 1, and he's got 4 and 3. The second level costs 1, and it's 5 and 3. And the final level costs 2, and he's 6 and 4. Next we have the greatest lantern of them all. That costs 5 to buy the die. If Sinestro is KO'd, your opponent must KO one of their characters with a lantern, if able. And then finally, we've got Thal, Sinestro of Korger. While Sinestro is active at the beginning of your turn, if no lantern characters except Sinestro... Sinestro core characters are active, Sinestro deals target opponent 2 damage. It's kind of hard keeping up with all the symbols, so I had to double check. So that's all the stuff you get from as far as cards and dice. You also get some bags for you to be able to draw your dice. I have to give mad props with this. Usually you get kind of these generic blue and red bags. While it's still kind of the flimsy paper that falls apart really easily, it's printed, so it's really cool. So we've got this, or no dice samisters on there, which is a freaking cool bag. And then we also get this, featuring some of the characters, various characters as lanterns. We've got Mira as a red lantern, Lex Luthor as orange, and Flash as a blue lantern. And then we've got Wonder Woman as a Star Sapphire, and Scarecrow as a yellow lantern, Sinestro core. And then finally, we've got the Atom as an indigo lantern. Really cool artwork. I loved this artwork when it was in the comics, so to see it on the bags was really cool. As I said, this is kind of a nice added in that in the past, the bags were just these generic blue and red bags. So to get this is like a small little thing that I think adds tons, and I really hope they continue doing it in future sets. I'd be really tempted to start using these sort of bags instead of the even the velvet ones that you get in various places. So that's the basic starter set for those who are getting into the game. This is probably the easiest way to get into the game. It retails for about 15 to 20 bucks depending on where you go. As I said, it's more than enough to 2 players to start playing the game from there, and just basically learning the basics. Really cheap entry to get in, especially considering the fact that it's 2 players. Thanks for watching. This is Graphic Policy Television, GPTV. I'm Brett. You can catch us every single day at graphicpolicy.com. Of course, we're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all at Graphic Policy. We keep it nice and consistent. Until next time, keep it geeky and keep rolling those die.